Greetings 3-2. For today, you were assigned some problems for your Chapter 3 review for your test that is coming up hopefully next week when we return back to school. The word problems that you're going to be solving today, either this morning or this afternoon, are going to involve using a comparison bar model for the most part. So I encourage you to watch the rest of this video to understand and review the different parts of a comparison bar model and how it can be used. When we see the words more, greater, less, or fewer, that usually means that we're comparing two different values of two different amounts. So I like to use Starburst as an example. Let's say I have purple Starburst and orange Starburst. This comparison bar model shows the lesser amount, which is 6 purple Starbursts, and the greater amount, 8 orange Starbursts. And the difference between the two amounts, which is 2 more orange, or we can say 2 less purple. And then over here, we've labeled how many orange and purple Starbursts there are in all. Now, some questions that we can be asked that involve creating a comparison bar model is, how many of each item are there in all? Now, I'm going to stick with using Starburst as an example. So again, I have 6 purple Starbursts, and here I can see that I'm missing a value for the greater amounts. But what I do know, and what the problem might actually tell me, is that there are 2 more orange Starbursts. And then another missing value that I can usually label is how many purple and orange Starbursts there are in all. Now over here, I've labeled a section for what we call a hidden question. The hidden question in this case, before I find out how many Starbursts in all, I need to find out the missing value, which is how many orange Starbursts there are. So my first step before I can tackle the question of how many Starbursts in all is to figure out the value of the orange Starburst, because that's what the question mark represents. And if we think about this logically, if I need to figure out how many purple and orange in all, I can't add these two numbers together if I'm not sure the value of the orange Starburst. So I'm going to use the values that I have. I know I have 6 purple Starbursts. If I need to find a greater amount because the orange bar is longer, I'm going to use addition and add 2 more, and that will give me the value for the orange Starburst. And then I can cross out that question mark, and now I know I have 8 orange Starbursts. Now that I have all the pieces of information necessary, I can answer the final question of how many in all. I have 8 orange plus 6 purple, and that equals 14 in all. Now, there is another way that we can use the comparison bar model to answer questions. How much more or how much less is a value? Now, this comparison bar model has a place to identify this amount, the difference. So between the purple Starburst and the orange Starburst, there is what we call the difference, how much more an amount is or how much less an amount is. So I filled in this bar model again with the information the problem has given to me and any values I'm not sure of. Now, there is a hidden question here. Again, we create this bar model to identify any missing pieces of information that I might need to determine before I answer the questions that, the test makers are asking me. So using how many I have in all and the number of purple Starbursts, I want to figure out how much more orange Starbursts there are, or I can say how much less purple Starbursts there are. Because I have a whole and I know one part of that whole, and I'm missing the other part, This kind of makes me want to create a different model. And that's what we call a part-whole bar model. And that's what you see in front of here under the hidden question side. So if I know I have 14 starbursts in all, and I know that I have 6 purple starbursts, how can I figure out the value? And it's the same thing as the other model over here. How can I figure out that missing amount? Well, I have a whole, I know one part, and using subtraction will help me figure out that missing value. And that is 8. So now I can take this information and transfer it over to the comparison bar model. Because when I see these words, less or more, when I'm trying to figure out the difference between two values, I want to see the comparison. So now I can compare 8 orange starbursts and 6 purple starbursts. I have 8 orange minus 6 purple, and that will give me 2 as my difference. That means we can say there are 2 fewer purple starbursts and there are 2 more or greater orange starbursts. And we can see that comparison is true with the different size bar models. And over here, we only needed this piece of information to figure out the missing value of the orange starburst. So my 3-2 friends and any parents who are listening, these are just some ways that we can use these comparison bar models and notice if we need a different kind of bar model to determine any missing values. That's the beauty of these bar models. First, draw the information that you understand and know that the mathematicians give to you. Figure out what values you might need that are missing. Those are called our hidden questions. We usually run into hidden questions when we have values that are missing, like our orange starburst value, and from our first problem, when we didn't know the orange starburst to figure out how many there were in all. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. You can always rewatch this video as you're working through some of your math problems for your Chapter 3 test review.